You know guys, we are living in a strange time, aren't we? Short-form content has been dominating social media lately. Disney has been taking L after L after L. GTA 6 is actually real and not just a fake rumor. And video game adaptations have really been more successful than ever. For so many years, there's this curse that every movie based on a video game would just be terrible. This all started with the release of the Super Mario Bros. Movie in 1993, which was a complete disaster for the time. Although the film has grown some appreciation over time for being this weird 90s fever dream, but for the longest time, video game movies could just never get it right. You had Tomb Raider, Resident Evil, Warcraft, Assassin's Creed, Ratchet & Clank, Uncharted, all just terrible movies. But then a little movie called Detective Pikachu was released, based on all of the Pokemon games that were hugely successful back in the day. Yeah, I never got into them. Yeah, that's right, I'm cool and edgy, I don't play Pokemon games, that's gay! But this movie proved to be somewhat of a success. It made over $450 million at the box office, and was fairly well received from critics. Then cut to a year later, the Sonic movie was released, a movie that initially seemed doomed to fail due to that horrific design, but despite not having much to do with the games, fans did really enjoy it for how it captured Sonic's character, and critics enjoyed it for its charming and simple story. This success led to a sequel that focused even more on the games, and was an even bigger success, and things only got better for video game adaptations from this point. The Mario movie was a massive success, like over $1 billion at the box office. Same with the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, a huge success at the box office. Although, the general critical response was a resounding eh. Like, some critics just did not understand these films cause, to simply put it, they were not made for them, they were made for fans of the games. Now, there isn't anything wrong with making adaptations that are purely for the fans. If the fan base is big enough, then why not make a movie dedicated to them? But another issue the critics had with these two movies was just how rushed and confusing they were. Pacing is probably the most important aspect of a movie. A film has to introduce viewers to the world, characters, and story all within a certain runtime. But since these movies were made for the fans, the creative teams didn't really have to worry about explaining the world's characters and motivations, since the fans already know. This whole debate on video game movies being made for fans got me thinking about how movies based on video games do not hold a candle to TV shows based on video games. Now, more specifically, I'm referring to two recent shows that have been released within the past year, the Last of Us series and the Fallout series. Both of these shows have been praised left, right, and center for how accurately they adapt the games they are based on, and also how they are great for first-time viewers who aren't really familiar with the games. And for someone like me, I have barely played The Last of Us or Fallout, so I had no knowledge of the source material when going into these shows, but I found myself greatly enjoying these shows. But why is it that critics and audiences praise these shows that faithfully adapt their game counterparts, but complain about the movies being too confusing? Well, why do you think I made this video? I've grown obsessed with this topic, so it's about time you hear me rant about it. So enjoy, folks.
I always come.
Now, in order to start things off, I think the best way to start off this video would be to look at how video game adaptations handle world building. World building is vital when it comes to developing a game. The player is basically given all the freedom they want to explore the world and see what secrets are hidden away. Some game series like Red Dead Redemption, Grand Theft Auto, or Saints Row have become so famous for how much detail is in their worlds. Even the 3D Mario games can offer so much in terms of exploration and things to find. The possibilities are near endless, and it can lead to an experience that can last for so long. But with the art form of film or TV, the world building element is very limited. The exploration element is completely gone, so you're left with what's shown to you on screen. With movies, this can be very limiting since movies have a set runtime, unless you're Lord of the Rings and you have a combined runtime of nearly 11 hours. Holy fuck. But with TV, you have so much more time to explore the worlds and characters, and thankfully, The Last of Us and Fallout series still maintain that excellent world building despite the limitations. The two games are both massive and contain so much detail, so you think that adapting them into a TV experience would be near impossible, but they goddamn did it! In The Last of Us, we are immediately made aware of what's going on and how the story is going to play out all within the first episode. We get the opening interview scene which perfectly explains to the audience how this zombie disease could spread. Then later on we get to know the characters and grow attached to them. Everything starts to go to hell. Then Joel's daughter is killed, we time skip 20 years later, and we see the current state of the world. in shit basically. As the show continues, we get to see so much more of this world, which helps us get immersed in the series, and there's always a new location in every episode, which helps make for a breath of fresh air. One minute they can be in a foresty area, the next they're in a safe town in the middle of a snowy land, and they show us how broken this world is, how dangerous walking around an open area can be for a normal person. It kinda makes you feel like you're in this world, getting to experience everything that's happening with these characters. And same goes with Fallout. Within the first episode, we get to learn so much about the Vault and how all these people live their lives. The incest is definitely strange, but let's not focus on that. Throughout the series, we are shown so much of this world that has just been left completely destroyed, and the way this world is shown and explained to the viewers is done in such a genius way. The first episode simply shows a nuclear bomb going off, and that's about it. But further down the line, we get shown more and more scenes that show us the build up to the bomb being dropped and how the vaults were built in the first place. The final episode wraps everything up in such a satisfying yet shocking way. Like honestly, the ending to Follow has hands down the best twist I have ever seen in a series or film before. See, Disney? This is how you do a twist. Both these shows are excellent at introducing fans of the games and new viewers to these new interpretations of these iconic worlds. They feel real and they give us time to really take in everything that we see. This is possible thanks to the longer running times of a TV show. The longer the runtime is, the more time we get to spend in these worlds. But now let's look at film. In the Mario movie, the world building is quite poor, I'll be honest. The Mario games are known for having such creative and fun worlds to explore, but the Mario movie has a runtime of just about 90 minutes, which is barely enough time to flesh out these worlds. It's a shame, since from what we do see of these worlds, they look downright incredible. The creativity is there, as well as the breathtaking animation, but sadly with how little time there is, we barely get to see any of these worlds. We get to see small glimpses of them, but that's just about it. Like, I want to see more of the Mushroom Kingdom, I want to see more of the Darklands, I want to see more of the Kong Kingdom, but we can't because the film rushes through its story, which I will dive deep into later. Even the explanation behind these worlds is very poor, like how did this magical pipe work? Where did Peaches come from? How does she become princess? And how does Bowser even know about Peach? But since the movie is made specifically for fans, they don't need to explain all this. Which yeah, I do get that. I'm a big Mario fan, so I understood all of the references and how these worlds work. But to people who have a basic understanding of Mario, it can leave them with so many questions. Hell, same with the FNAF movie, the explanation for Freddy's Pizza or how these animatronics work is barely even explained. Our only way of learning about this world and how everything works is through Vanessa. Yeah, some kids were murdered and possessed the animatronics. Oh, watch out, those are spring locks. They are very dangerous and could impale someone with a single nudge. Shame if someone were to get spring locked, am I right? Granted, FNAF does have a more grounded world, but it's important to tell viewers about this pizzeria, what happened to it, and how these animatronics work. Even dive deep into the lore and give us a small history lesson. Like, I know everything about FNAF, so I had no problem following the story, but imagine how confused non-fans would feel. And sadly, with the FNAF movie's small runtime, they basically had to speedrun through everything, so it just leaves so much well-needed explanation left on the cutting room floor. But that does lead me into the next point I want to discuss in this video, pacing. Now, pacing is very important for film and TV shows. You need to have a balanced story and a clear first, second, and third act. If a movie has bad pacing, then that can ruin any chances of it being fun to watch. But TV sort of has an advantage when it comes to runtimes. They have multiple episodes to flesh out their stories, and they're able to explain what's going on in a slow and smooth way. Film, on the other hand, does not have this luxury, unless you make a nearly 3-hour long movie, but long movie runtimes are kind of discouraged for financial reasons or something, I don't know. Looking at The Last of Us and Fallout again, they have probably some of the best pacing I have ever seen in a piece of media before. In The Last of Us, they really take their time with introducing the characters and stories, but it's not done in a slow or boring way. We get so much time to see Ellie and Joel grow a bond together, we get to see them adapt to this cruel world, we get to see Joel reconnect with his brother and take time to further their relationship. We can even get episodes dedicated to flashbacks and allowing us to see how characters ended up where they are now. Like an entire episode dedicated to showing us how Ellie first got infected and her old friendship. We can even get an entire episode dedicated to these characters named Bill and Frank. Sure, they don't really have a massive impact on the story per se, but it's the fact that we get to see the story of these characters and how Joe's connected to them, and also how he kinda saved their lives. And that ending, man, fucking hell, cunts. Even with Fallout, they always go back and forth between the current storyline and what happened in the past. And thanks to the pacing, it's able to flow naturally and not come off as jarring or confusing. It has the time to fully flesh out the story and characters in a way that keeps the attention of the viewers. That's what gaming is all about. These giant forms of art that can be experienced for so many years. but film is sadly very restricted with how much they can show and explain. When the Mario movie was released, its main criticism was just how rushed the pacing felt, and yeah, it's incredibly rushed. Like 1 minute we're in Brooklyn, having a good time, then boom, we're in the Mushroom Kingdom. The next minute, boom, Mario meets Peach. Boom, they start their journey. Oh look, Donkey Kong. Oh yeah, Luigi is kidnapped by the way. Oh yeah, we're back in Brooklyn now. See what I mean? The pacing is just so rushed here and everything goes by so quickly. Like after a few seconds of Mario meeting Peach, she starts to train him. There should have been way more time to develop the plot. Spend more time in Brooklyn to show off the Mario brothers and what their lives are like. Show off more scenes between Mario, Peach, and Toad and their adventure. Show us more scenes with Bowser and Mario interacting together, because the only time the two of them talk face to face to each other is near the end of the movie. I really hate to say this, but the 1993 Mario movie had better pacing. Sure, I'll take the animated film any day over that mess, but that movie did take its time to show off the origin for Princess Daisy. They spend a good bit of time in the real world and build up Mario and Luigi's relationship. The brothers also meet Bowser early on in the movie, so Bowser wanting them feels more earned, and we get to see a lot of Dino Hatton or whatever they called it in the film. Even the Sonic movie suffered from very weak pacing. In the first movie, we get to see a bit of Green Hill Zone in the opening, which looks stunning, but within the blink of an eye we're in the real world. No time to check out Sonic's world or where he came from. It's just, hey, see this cool and awesome world? Well, fuck that. Here are some bland human characters. FNAF has okay pacing, I guess. I guess it's kinda cool how they actually go through 5 nights and it doesn't feel like they rushed it. But the world and story feels so underdeveloped. Like, what the fuck is Golden Freddy doing here? Why are they in a taxi? What happened to Aunt Jane? Did they forget about her? And why did Afton kidnap Mike's brother in the middle of nowhere? And the characters don't really get that much development, which sucks because there's some great actors like Matthew Lillard, Josh Hutcherson, and Matt Pats. Like, Matthew Lillard as William Afton is brilliant casting, and he really does an incredible job, but he's barely in the film, only in a collective 3 scenes. Even the character of William Afton is so underutilized. Like, imagine you're a non-FNAF fan watching the movie, you see the Steve Raglan guy and you kinda get the hint that he's up to no good. But then later you see Vanessa talking about a terrible man who murdered all these kids. Now fans are waiting for the reveal that it's William Afton, but non-fans are left confused. Is it Steve Raglan or some random guy? Then when Vanessa says his name is William Afton, the non-fans are left wondering, who the fuck is William Afton? Then later when his face is revealed, it's like, oh yeah, it's that Steve guy from earlier. Lame. Now let's say FNAF was made into a series like Fallout. That will give plenty of time to show off William's character, how he started off the pizzeria, what led to his downfall, and to eventually game end all these kids. Then they can show Mike slowly learning about the pizzeria and what happened to it, and give an understanding of how these machines work. A FNAF miniseries going over the game's lore and presenting it in a clear and understandable way for new viewers and fans would be amazing. But with the movie's limited runtime, all we really get is Vanessa spewing some exposition. Now I know that I've ranted for long enough, so I just want to say that I do not hate the Mario movie or the FNAF movie in any way. As a massive Mario and FNAF fan, I think they are great adaptations of the games. But in terms of actual films, they are very flawed. Like, you have to be a fan to enjoy them, which can be good and also not good depending on how you look at it. These films just have the unfortunate luck of having a limited runtime, so they can't explain the themes and worlds of the games as much as they would want to. But with The Last of Us and Fallout, they are able to go into excruciating detail into the world, story, characters, themes, and so much more. Like, I had no knowledge of The Last of Us going in other than people really hate the second game for some reason. But I completely fell in love with the series. I loved the characters so much and all the struggles they went through. I loved exploring the worlds and seeing these awesome locations. And with Fallout, I love how it had a lot of dramatic moments, but also a lot of comedic moments. Like, you cannot tell me that Fallout isn't a dark comedy show. It is fucking funny. But these shows are perfect examples of why TV is just way better at adapting video games as opposed to film. There's more time to get an understanding of the property and how these worlds work, instead of just being thrown into them and expecting to know how everything works. And like I said, games can have massive stories, so condensing them down into a 90-minute runtime limits what can be shown to the viewers. Like, let's say a studio wants to adapt Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, while that would be cool, they cannot condense a game like Red Dead Redemption 2 into a movie, even if they make it nearly 4 hours long. The whole appeal of the game is how detailed the world and story is, so cramming all of that down into a feature film runtime will rob the viewers of being able to experience the incredible world, story, and characters within that game. But with a TV miniseries, they could have the time to go through the game's story, show off the incredible world, and even introduce new ideas. I'm just personally glad that we are finally entering the era of faithful video game adaptations. It only took us 30 years, but we're finally here. Ah, man, almost finished. Boy, I sure just love being alive. Isn't it great? Oh great, I hate when I randomly combust out of nowhere and turn into a zombie. Oh well, guess it looked like this now. See you later, lads.